So we just had the big Tokyo Game Show stream revealing a bunch of information for Duel Links Go Rush World, brand new boxes, structure decks, Chronicle cards, but also we've got the updates for October 2024, and of course, it all happened at the same time. I know what's in them, and we'll go through them because it is pretty surprising in terms of what character we're getting at the end of the month. So first of all, we are getting YUO, of course, kind of soft confirmed by the skills, by some of the cards from the Tokyo Game Show stream. We're getting the brand new UR card, Blank, and SR Fire Jester. Now this is actually Ladon Star. This is a really cool fusion that can debuff your opponent's monsters by 1500. That's the big effect you're going to be getting. The second effect, in that you debuff your opponent's dinos by 2000, is never going to come up at all. This is one of the worst, technically, Metarions we can get, but still for a free-to-play card, it's not bad at all. Then the Jester is, again, another debuff for a card your opponent controls. Can it work in the deck? Who knows, we'll find out. Then we've got the Duelist Kingdom coming back, and I would have kind of hoped that we'd get a Rush Duelist Kingdom, because we've not seen any Rush PvP events, aside from the Goha Cup, which isn't really that fun in my opinion. I want something like DK with Rush Duel, that'd be cool. But also, in late October, we are getting Yuri from Arc 5, finally coming to Duel Links. Now, this is confirmed by the Japanese quote. It's the same one from, I think, episode 106, where it was going against the GX nostalgia pandering random characters, right? With Starving Venom. And the surprising thing is we've not got Dumon's rerun happening in October, right? So we've now got Dumon, Yuri, Rin, and Lulu, 4 speed characters in rotation at one time. The rest of this year, we saw Konami kind of go down this route of having 1, potentially 2 characters in rotation at a time, and then giving their unlock events, and so we've now kind of gone back to where we were before. Combined with YUO, you've now got 5, but it's cool, we are now kind of done with the main Arc 5 characters, right? So we can then go and get Zark as the final boss at some point, which would be cool. But also, Yuri is going to be bringing Predator Plants, right? Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is really good. Potentially Ancient Gear support, because he did use him in one episode, and probably a Super Poly skill, given he did use that with the Ancient Gear Dragon. That will be kind of fun for Speedo players in late October, right before we assume a KC Cup in November. Just like last year, and the big thing will be, is this going to be a mini box, or are they going to give us a main box? The November KC Cup box is always a main box, so potentially going main to main, like before we went mini to mini, that could be what's happening. But now onto the big stuff the Tokyo Game Show reveals. First of all, is the Chronicle card feature. Now, you can have up to 50 cards as Chronicle cards, it could be any cards you want, but this doesn't mean 50 is the starting number, because we know from data mines that there are going to be items and things you can do to actually increase the limit. So I would imagine it starts off quite low at maybe like 10, 15, and then over time you can add more to them, and it seems like any card can become a Chronicle card. So we were assuming before, given that Chronicle cards would need so many assets, that it would just be for URs or for Ace cards, for example, but no, it can be any card you want, and you'll go through customizing the features, right, giving you different foiling patterns. You've got your border color, your name color, and a stamp, which we don't know what the stamp is right now. Hopefully it's something cool, not something really cheesy like the Duel Links logo, but I don't want my card with the logo on it, please no. At the end, you get a cool animation showing off your creation as a new feature. It looks pretty cool. Now, I believe that not every option will be available for every card. So, say Ultra Rares can get every option, but whereas normals, they are kind of limited in what they can do. I believe that's what's happening. There's no confirmation, but again, data mining does kind of hint as towards that being the thing that's happening. But hopefully, they kind of knock us out of the park in terms of the feature and availability and how you actually acquire items and how the cards level up. That'll be cool. Speaking of that, we have our first look at the brand new campaign. This is kind of the default thing. You're getting 3 characters, you've got a Chronicle card, 2 boxes. It's looking pretty cool. We've seen this before. Ancient Gear Golem. You've got your Dark Magician with the Aurora foiling. That's going to be the rainbow pattern in the background, which is why, you know, some cards will have this one, some cards won't. And down here, you have 3 items. You've got your crystal foiling, your gold border, and your gold name. So it does seem like they'll be giving these out as event rewards, missions, etc., which is a good way of doing it, but hopefully you can farm these yourself, right? Maybe by playing with Chronicle cards for a long period of time, you get more drops and kind of it rewards you for playing with a card you want to do, but that's unconfirmed. We don't know just yet. The big thing is confirmation on the 2 boxes and the 2 structure decks. We're going to be getting a structure deck for Transmu Rhynak, or should I say Transam Linak at the moment. Not the best localization I've seen in the world, but also Elemental Heroes coming to Rush Duel on day 1 of Go Rush, which is new because these came out in the OCG in July, August time. So really new for the card game, come to Duel Links, that's big. There's also 2 mini boxes coming on day 1, One, I assume, focused around the brand new world, right? Go Rush getting Galactic Oblivion, Jointech Rex, Bluetooth Burst Dragon is kind of the expectation. And then the second one being for 7's Fusions, giving Starbrand Dragon, probably 7's Paladin, and a few others, right? So you've got two options. Now, the one thing here is that this is very free-to-play friendly, because if you don't care about, say, the Go Rush characters, you can go all in on the Fusion box and have a good time. But if you care about all of it, then technically it's more expensive than a main box by 2,000 gems, and you're missing out on 2 less URs compared to a main box. So in one sense, it makes sense, right, to be more accessible, but at the same time, they're making more money from the Rush player base, which they know is smaller, but we've kind of been happy to do that for the past year, right? Just whatever they give us, we kind of eat up. Now, there was a bunch of gameplay, and there was a screen from the Chronicle card that leaked a bunch of rarities that we're going to be getting. So, of course, a bunch of vanillas coming for Yudi's deck, for Yuhi's deck as well. There wasn't really any sign of Yumu's cards right now, which is kind of disappointing, but hopefully we see more before the new world drops. But the big thing is getting the alternate artwork of Secret Order before the original. And it seems like we're getting this card at 3 copies because it was in the background of the whole floating rotation star deck thing you see in the new Duel UI. It might be less, it might be that the accounts were playing on God accounts where I had 3 of every card, it might have been that as well, but this is a really good card to get on day 1 of Go Rush, and in the physical card game was really, really good. Then for confirmed rarities, we've got Flame Wingman, of course, coming in the structure deck. There's a skill to make this card work better, and the cool thing is that if you kill a maximum, it's going to deal them the maximum tap points as damage. So if you have your Flame Wingman, you've debuffed via the skill, you probably play Tasmanic Seal Array, right, to debuff down to 2000 for Nick Drago, you attack in, you're then dealing, 500 damage via the effect of the skill, and then you've got 4000 burn damage at your opponent by killing a maximum. Heroes, I think, are going to be really, really fun on day 1. Hopefully, they're all available in the structure, not kind of interspersed between the box. I kind of think they might put one card in there, but we'll see. Then, of course, as Trapole talked about this one, it's a legend, it's coming via a bundle, and it's going to be really good for stopping those fusion summons, right? If you hit one of the targets for Flame Wingman, then your turn's kind of over, which is really big. Rising Heroes coming, these are brand new to Rush Duel, and this is a really big piece of card advantage, right? You summon this, reveal your Flame Wingman, excavate 4, and then add up 2 copies of your Avian and Prestigentrix to your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of the deck. Even if the deck doesn't have the most powerful normal summons, we're not getting Sparkman, I don't think. Then we've got Rising Hero Tantalum as a 2 tribute. If there's a Warrior Fusion on your field, you can bounce one of your opponent's level 8 monsters back to the hand. Just in general, a really good removal effect, right? It clogs the hand for next turn. You know what's coming out, but you also know they've got to invest resources into summoning it. Then for super rares, in terms of what's relevant, we've got Prestigentrix and Avian, which does make sense. Star Restart is a generic support card for vanilla cards, right? You can use it, of course, in a UDS-themed Galaxy deck, you can use it in Heroes, you can use it in YUO's deck. And speaking of YUO's deck, it was happening. We are getting a few more cards early, like HK Golem, we're getting Reactor. We don't know about anything else, right? Potentially no newer fusions or the other main deck card, but given this card works so with a skill and does give you a draw 2, gives you some recursion, this is going to be a really fun card to play. And hopefully, the deck is good. I really hope so. I assume we'll get some stuff day 1 like Meme was last year, right, in the box, and then, say, October 7th, 8th, around that time, is the Newers event. That would kind of line up fine. Then we've got Update Wyvern, which is a nice target for your Secret Order, becoming 25 on Summon. And then we've got the Ether Fusion monster. Now, this isn't great, right? It is recursion for both Fusion and a material, so the assumption with this, I believe, is that you're playing this in Heroes, right? You're playing Hero Package, and you're playing a really small Ether Package, which gets you a back row pop or another summon of the material to go into this or your big Trooper summon. Then for rares and normals, right, the only relevant thing here really is going to be XQT Fermi. Now, in the physical game, XQTs were really, really good. Around Cyberdragon's release, these were the best deck by far. Now, this doesn't mean we're getting all of them, right? Because I believe this one released first, and it released on its own, and then they released a big box with a whole new deck type of support, whole wave of support, and it became really good really quickly. So, I assume the same is happening here, given that we know we're getting 4 URs in the mini box, right? And we know that this one will probably come in the Go Rush box. It's a level 6 centric deck that can special summon cards out and do the opponent's body in different ways. It's pretty fun, but also really good. But I also don't think we're going to be seeing all of it on day one. It'll be 2 or 3 cards here or there, or maybe just Fermi herself because it is going to support a bit of a vanilla Galaxy strategy. Now we have got Arc Turbo, which is kind of like the Psychic buff, right? But you don't get it on summon. It's just, you play this, you buff by 500, and if there's a Yakto in your graveyard, you buff by another 1000. Which does mean you can summon your level 9 fusions and then clear with maximums. So I'm going to assume this card is going to see play. Maybe only a 1 or 2 of in the deck, but I assume it's going to see play. And of course, we are getting Aqua Sorcerer, Earth Sorcerer, Aero Sorcerer. You can go in and make an entire deck of these vanillas and play Beatdown Rush if you want to. Which might be fine for the auto-duel opponents, right? You put a couple of bosses in there, and that'll go to town. It also does appear we're getting both Arts of Fusion, right? There's a blue one and a pink one. I assume the pink one will come via the structure deck, the blue one via the box. That just kind of makes sense. But overall, it does seem like this update is going to be a little bit bigger than we kind of expected. Now, the one thing I'm kind of concerned about, and it's a real easy fix, is we're getting too many boxes on day one. And we know we're getting bundles as well. And so you know with bundles that they take cards from the latest pack. Now, hopefully, this will have made Konami change their ways and we'll be able to choose which box you pull bundles from. I don't know why they don't let you do that, right? Because either way, they're getting your money regardless. So all it's doing is making you frustrated if you want to go into a box you don't want to go into or wait for a box you do want to go into. It's a bit baffling there. They're going to say, okay, the Cyber Dragon Assault bundle we get, you get packs from Cyber Dragon box. The Trap Hole one is from the Galaxy box, and that's how they do it. Which I kind of think they'll do it that way, and then obviously once the new box comes out after that, it'll then go back to being standard lace pack bundles, and that'll be all fine. But this does, to me, feel like it's going to be a much bigger launch than Sevens was, purely because they are kind of going for this mass market appeal of heroes and Cyber Dragons, right? Because, you know, at Sevens launch, aside from the Dark Magician girl in the box, right, there wasn't really anything for people to kind of connect to the new cards with if they have never seen Sevens before. And in the case of Go Rush, you can't watch that legally outside Japan. 99% of your audience doesn't have any connection to these characters and these cards, so giving these newer support in Heroes, in Cyber Dragon, some people might see it as a bit of a lack of faith in the whole Go Rush release, but to me, it's just smart. You know, they're going to make so much money this one, and if you want to get Speedle players playing Rush Duel, you do it by giving them things they're familiar with and things they know. And given Cyber Dragon is so free, right, free copies of Structure Deck are basically free, if they just go into the box, right, once, get Cyber and Dragon, potentially on the Fusion card, get the bundle, then they're going to be hooked on the format, and potentially will go on to spend more on future releases. Now, what we don't know is whether we are getting anything for Speedle, because usually on New Worlds we'll get a Selection Box Super Mini. I will assume that is going to happen still. That's going to be 3 or 4 new cards for Speedle, not a lot, but also there is a Rush Duel Selection Box 2 coming. It was added as an ID in the game code in the last update, but this could be coming in 1 month, 2 months, it could be coming on October 1st, they haven't told us about it, right? It could be that they saw how good the first box was for bringing in players, being super accessible, and they go, you know what, you're going to need some of these cards for the fusions, let's reprint them with new artworks, give a couple new cards in that, and that could be what they're doing. You know, it could be a very, very expensive New World release for the smallest player base in the game. I think that's a good idea, despite how much I'm not looking forward to, you know, spending that many gems on 2 boxes, structure decks, and whatever else is coming. If that's what makes this work, I'm all for it. And of course, this is a very Rush-heavy month, right? And so I kind of don't expect to get a major Rush character, potentially, until January. Right, I think they can kind of go that long. Of course, have some super mini boxes at some point, right, after the Speed KC Cup in November. That would work out. Think we might be in for a bit of a longer wait for our next Rush character after this big whole bulk of content that's coming. But we'll have to see. Anyway, final thoughts. Looking very positive for Go Rush World to release on October 1st, and there's just a lot of content coming. You know, more than I expected, and I think more than most people expected. It is just going to be a bit of an expensive world for people really invested in Rush Duel. But for new players, right, it's going to be a new gateway into the format, and that's great.